Wow, I think that Robinhood has a really good chance of winning the award of the dumbest corporate move of 2021. The app that championed itself as being for the people, democratizing stock investing by getting rid of trading fees, just now turned against its whole user base. Yeah, like literally. That's not even an exaggeration. They shamelessly manipulated the stock market in favor of hedge funds. In other words, Robinhood is now stealing from the poor to give to the rich. That's a pretty daring change of strategy, and definitely not the smartest one. Although Robinhood's decision might have been forced by someone else, and I'll address this hypothesis later in the video. Before I explain how exactly Robinhood screwed its users, let's remember what prompted this move. If you saw my previous video about Reddit, I explained how a subreddit called Wall Street Bets decided to collectively invest in the stock of the struggling company GameStop. They did it because they realized that institutional investors, such as big hedge funds, were massively shorting this stock, meaning that they were betting that its price would keep falling lower and lower, and obviously they would profit from it. Shorting is quite a weird investing strategy, which consists of borrowing shares of a company at a certain price, immediately selling them, and buying them back later when the price will be lower, thus profiting off the difference. Those who do that put pressure on the stock of a certain company, and they really need it to go down to make money. However, if the stock price actually goes up, they can lose a potentially infinite amount of money. And the worst thing that can happen for somebody who shorts a stock is called the short squeeze. That's when you panic that the price is actually going up instead of going down, so in order to cover your losses, you need to buy back the shares as soon as possible before they become even more expensive. Remember, they are borrowed. The thing is, when this happens, the simple fact of covering your losses by buying back those shares actually makes the price go even more up because, well, you're buying them. And that can provoke a crazy upstick in price of a certain stock. So, a user called Deep Value on the now famous subreddit noticed that GameStop was one of the most shorted stocks out there, if not the most, and he was consistently investing and promoting it since 2019. Eventually, more and more users followed him and figured that if they would collectively buy into this stock instead, it would make its price go up, therefore forcing hedge funds that bet against it to cover their losses and provoke that crazy short squeeze. And this is exactly what happened. Some Reddit users made millions, while several hedge funds lost more than $5 billion. Basically, there was a huge transfer of money from the big Wall Street finance to a mass of individual traders like you and me. Of course, GameStop's actual business has no importance here whatsoever. It's all speculation and a game, really. Yeah, a game, as in GameStop. Get it? But it's not just a game for all these Redditors. Hedge funds have been playing these games since forever. They just pretend not to, although they're not different. Except that now that they got at their own game, they decided to use their only weapon when it comes to dealing with competition. They decided to change the rules. First of all, there were outraged calls from hedge fund managers who said that what happened was outrageous, unacceptable, and illegal, although it's obviously not. They played and they lost. It's as simple as that. Because here's the thing. Market manipulation plays out at all times, no matter what some people might want you to believe. For example, those hedge funds that short stocks of companies such as Tesla, their interests are in making the stock go down, obviously. But they're not just sitting there passively and waiting that it goes down. No, they go on TV, they contact their journalist friends and ask them to talk bad about Tesla, say how it's a bad business and how it will eventually go down and blah blah blah. A lot of the so-called contributors on various magazines actually have skin in the game. They try to use the media in their favor in order to provoke a negative sentiment among investors of all kinds about a company in order to make its stock go even lower so they can make a lot of money. Tesla, for example, used to be the most short stock out there, and you probably saw all these analysts disparaging it all day, every day on financial news, therefore generating a lot of hate against Tesla and turning it into a battleground stock. What happened is that Tesla's community actually held their ground and bought more of Tesla stock instead over time, therefore making these analysts and hedge funds lose billions of dollars. They got burned once, and now they got burned twice with GameStop. This could have kept on happening with other shorted stocks such as AMC, the theater chain, BlackBerry and Nokia, among others. And that's where Robinhood comes in addition to other market manipulators out there, such as TD Ameritrade and Trading 212 in the UK. What they did is, they simply forbid users to buy the stocks of these companies and only allowed them to sell, therefore making the price go down because, well, there was no other option. It could only go down because it became impossible to buy. I'm not sure there has ever been a worse, more blatant market manipulation by a broker than this. And the biggest problem with this is, when does it stop? Are brokers now deciding which stock growth is speculative and which one is real? It's a really crazy precedent that shows that they can really do whatever they want from now on. There might be an explanation as to why Robinhood did this, although this is pure speculation. If you watch my previous video explaining Robinhood business model, you'll see that they're making money by selling order flow to some of the biggest trading companies out there, such as Citadel. And Citadel injected $3 billion into Melvin Capital, one of the big hedge funds which suffered huge losses after the GameStop short squeeze. It is totally possible that Citadel, being one of the biggest clients of Robinhood, if not the biggest, forced them into taking these actions. Any business will yield to the demands of its biggest clients. But again, it's just an educated guess. What's sad about these events is that institutional investors, and especially hedge funds, usually manage money of already rich people, right? The middle class doesn't put its money into hedge funds, at least not directly. No, the middle class invests using their brokers such as banks or apps like Robinhood. Therefore, by manipulating the price in favor of hedge fund short positions, Robinhood and Co. effectively screwed the simple people they pretended to have created their apps for in the first place. They all claim that this move was to protect users from too volatile stocks, which is of course a blatant lie, because they don't care if these users lose money when they make typical bad investments. You could invest in Wirecard and lose all your money because it was a fraud, and Robinhood couldn't care less, as they shouldn't, because that's how the market works. Here, they suddenly care, but only about the big fish. So big finance is screwing people once again, although they already have massive advantages everywhere. For example, institutional investors can trade after hours and before hours. Basically, stuff can keep happening in the stock market. There can be huge price swings because institutional investors play among themselves during a time when the market is closed to everybody else. Also, institutional investors can participate in pre-sale of shares right before an IPO happens, which the basic mortals can't do. Therefore, once a company goes IPO, they instantly make crazy profits. Now, they just lost a few rounds of their own game, they got hurt, so they decided to blatantly manipulate the stock market in their favor. But if you ask me, well, I think it's totally understandable. Some poor dude won't be able to afford his new mansion in the Hamptons this year because he shorted GameStop. Robinhood and other brokers are in the worst position here, because they were supposed to be neutral, right? Hedge funds have their own interest and can make their own moves, obviously, but brokers aren't supposed to favor them, and this is exactly what happened. So Robinhood and other brokers literally just alienated millions of their users and made them lose a lot of money by manipulating battleground, speculative stocks in favor of hedge funds who always saw the stock market as a game anyway. I think that they can definitely expect massive, gigantic class actions because what they did is simply illegal. And surely even more determination from the Wall Street Bets subreddit army to exact revenge. Just a side note, no, I never bought GameStop stock, but I'm totally feeling the outrage. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. See you soon!